Okay, I believe it's close enough to 1 o'clock here. So once again, I want to thank everyone for taking your time to attend this webinar. I hope that it is educational for you. Once again, my name is Paul Moody with Novera Payment Solutions, and this is the CIADA and Novera Payment Solutions presentation on the ins and outs of credit card processing. So real quick, I'm just going to go through a table of contents just to let you know what we're going to speak about today. We should be out of here 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how many questions you guys have. But real quick, I'll go through a quick introduction, let you know who we are, what we do. After that, the bulk of the presentation will be spent on understanding pricing and how pricing works in the credit card processing industry. We feel that's very important for people to understand. After that, we'll speak to some available technologies that you may or may not be aware of in the industry today, as well as some value-added resources after that. Throughout the presentation, I will have designated times for questions and answers that you'll see pop up on the screen. At that point, if you have a question, there should be a panel within your GoToWebinar control panel that you can type in a question, and I will do my best to answer all the questions as best as I can. So please hold your questions for those designated times. So Novera Payment Solutions, we are a Atlanta-based member service provider of WorldPay. WorldPay is one of the largest credit card processors in the nation. They have been around for years and years and years and service businesses all over the world. Novera, however, we are a registered independent sales organization with Visa and MasterCard, and we do our merchant services through WorldPay. Our executive team has over 25 years combined industry experience. We really pride ourselves on being what we consider experts in the industry. I've personally been in it for, I can't believe it, but it's been over 10 years now. And we really pride ourselves on being able to educate people on how things truly work in this industry. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, unfortunately, in the credit card industry, and we like to just pull back the curtains and let everybody see what's really going on. We also like to provide the latest in technology and pricing for businesses across America. And then last but not least, by any means, we're the recommended provider for CIADA. We've been partnered with Carolina Independent for, I believe it's been a little over 2 years now. And they've been a great partner to us, and hopefully they feel the same about us. We've really enjoyed the relationship that we've had with John Brown and the guys at CIADA. Let's go to the next slide here. So the first thing I want to speak to, and this once again will probably be the bulk of the presentation, but the first thing I want to speak to is pricing and how pricing works in the credit card processing industry. The question I get asked most often, and the quickest question that comes to mind for people who are talking to me about credit card processing, is always, what are your rates? What do you guys charge? And that's a valid question, and it's something that everyone's concerned with, because everyone's concerned with how much money is going to be flowing out of their account for the ability to accept credit cards. So what I want to do here is explain to you how my costs work, so you can then understand how processors mark it up and pass it along to you so you can calculate your costs. So the first thing to understand with pricing is that all credit card processors out there, whether it's us, whether it's Bank of America, whether it's your current provider, if you currently accept cards, we all have the exact same underlying cost to Visa, MasterCard. They set our buy rates, if you will. And in our industry, we call those buy rates, we call it interchange. Once again, they're set by Visa, MasterCard. They're actually federally regulated now, our buy rates. And these are the rates that we get before we can mark them up and pass them along to you guys as the business owners. And that's how we make our money. So what is interchange and how does interchange work? So like I said, all processors have the exact same underlying costs. Interchange, what you're looking at here is a portion of interchange. This is a portion of our interchange chart. There is 160 different line items within interchange, or 160 different buy rates within interchange. So every credit card processing transaction that happens gets assigned one of those 160 different buy rates. And what determines which buy rate gets associated with an individual transaction or an individual purchase that's made on a credit card is a few different things. So the things that determine it, the first thing that determines which buy rate is attached to that transaction out of these 160 buy rates is what type of card it is. And what I mean by that is it's not as simple as is it a Visa, is it a MasterCard, or is it a Discover? It's what type of card is it? Is it a swiped debit card? Is it someone's personal debit card that has a Visa logo on it? Or is it someone's corporate credit card that's a MasterCard that was issued by Chase Bank, for instance? Or is it someone's personal credit card that was issued by Wells Fargo Bank? As you can imagine, with all the different card issuers and the different possibilities on types of rewards that are given out or types of check cards and debit cards and credit cards that are out there, those determining factors lead into all these 160 different buy rates. So that's the first determining factor, what type of card it is. The second determining factor on which buy rate will be assigned to that transaction is how was the card accepted? And what I mean by that is, was it swiped through a standard credit card machine? Or was it hand keyed into a standard credit card machine? Or on the other end, was it an e-commerce transaction where the customer actually purchased something online? Or was it done through a mobile payments platform or hand keyed into a mobile payments platform? So once again, you can see how there's so many different combinations on type of card and how the card's accepted. That's why there's so many different types of buy rates. The buy rates fluctuate in price based on what Visa and MasterCard associate as risk to that transaction. So someone swiping a personal debit card is going to get a much lower buy rate than someone hand keying someone's corporate rewards credit card, because Visa MasterCard associates a lot more risk of the transaction on someone who's hand keying a credit card. And if it's a corporate credit card, believe it or not, because say Joe Schmo decides to take his buddies out for a beer on the company credit card, and the boss looks at the bill and they say, no, I didn't approve this transaction, so chargebacks happened. So Visa, MasterCard associate a lot more risk with that. So the buy rate for that particular transaction is going to be higher than the buy rate on someone's swiped personal debit card. So that's how the buy rates work for the credit card processors. I could go into a ton more detail if you wanted to, but we'll save that for if you guys decide you want to get in touch with us. I'm sure we can talk in more detail later. So the next thing we need to determine is, well, what's the difference between all the processors? If all the processors out there have the exact same buy rates, what makes them different? Well, the main difference is how we mark up those buy rates and pass them along to you, the business owners. What most credit card processors do is they will mark up those buy rates in what's known as an inflated discount rate, to where you get one rate that sounds something like 1.65% and 20 cents. That's just an example, but say you get quoted that rate. Well, that rate is gonna be inflated above the processor's cost. And that rate will also only be applied to, say, 40 or 50 different interchange categories or buy rate categories on the interchange chart. So what the processor does is they say, okay, well, if you have cards that fall into this bucket of interchange levels, we're going to charge you this rate. So there's multiple different rates that can come out of that. Most processors have 3 or 4 different rates that they'll inflate and pass along to you on your statement that you'll pay for accepting credit cards. So that type of pricing, there's a couple of problems with that kind of pricing that I don't like. The first one is, since there are 3 or 4 different rates that they'll end up passing along, most processors only advertise, or the sales reps are trained to only speak about that first lowest rate for that will fall into the first qualified bucket of rates, if you will, the swiped debit cards, the swiped credit cards that are low risk to Visa, MasterCard. So they'll advertise, the low rate of 1.25% and 25 cents or whatever it is. And then the business owner will get the bill later and say, well, wait a second, why didn't this add up to 1.25 and 20 cents? And the reason it didn't add up to 1.25 and 20 cents or whatever the negotiated rate was is because they've also added in these other rates that they didn't advertise to you, that come to find out were in the fine print of the agreement that you signed. So that's the first problem with this type of pricing. The second type of problem with this type of pricing, and what I think is the most important problem, is that it really leaves you in the dark in knowing whether or not you're getting a fair deal. And what I mean by that is you can't know how much money the processor is making off of you, because they have these 160 different buy rates underneath their inflated rates that you see, and that inflation has no transparency to it. So you don't know how much money they're making off of you. You don't know if you're getting a fair deal. What we recommend, and this is whether you utilize us for your processor or not, we recommend cost plus pricing. What that means is, and this is what we do, is we actually pass along the true underlying cost. Once again, set by Visa, MasterCard. It's actually federally regulated now. We pass that along on a per transaction basis, and then we just tack on a flat fixed monthly fee at the end of the month, which is essentially our margin. Everyone knows we've got to keep the lights on and the servers humming and all that good stuff. And we're just not afraid to be transparent and say, based on your volume, here's how much margin we think is fair for us to make and fair for you to pay. And 9 times out of 10, that ends up being cheaper than what their current company was paying or was charging them. So that's what we recommend. There's other forms of cost plus pricing out there where we can do this too, but you can have cost passed along, and the plus would be in the form of a percentage above interchange. So 30 basis points, 40 basis points of your transactions or something like that. And then also they'll do per transaction fees, an additional 25 cents per transaction and above interchange. But the real kicker to this kind of pricing, and the real benefit to cost plus pricing, is that you know how much money they're making off of you. So you have the negotiating power when it comes to that, because you can say, no, that's not a fair deal. I don't think you should make that much money off of my account. Or yes, that is a fair deal. And that empowers you to know what's fair for you to pay for credit card processing. I'm going to pause there. I know that can be kind of confusing. Hopefully I explained it well for you. If you have any questions, I'm going to pause for just a couple of minutes. Like I said, there is a question box in your GoToWebinar control panel. I'm going to pause for a minute, minute and a half, and allow you to type in any questions, and I'll answer them there concerning the pricing. Okay, I'm not getting any questions coming through, so I'll wait just a few more seconds here. If there's not any questions in just a few seconds, we'll go ahead and move on. Okay, let's move on. So the next portion of this presentation that I want to go through quickly is the different available technologies out there in the marketplace. Some of these you're probably already familiar with, but you may not know certain bells and whistles that exist on them, and others you may not be. First one I'll speak to is just your basic standalone credit card machine. For those of you that accept credit cards, you probably have one of these sitting on your desk. For those of you that don't accept them, you've probably at least seen this out and interacted with this in a retail situation or a gas station somewhere. These are pretty standard machines. They have the newer ones and the ones that we would recommend at least have a built-in printer with what's known as a thermal printer, so you don't have any ink ribbons to deal with or anything like that. Most of these machines run over a phone line to where it dials out an 800 number whenever you swipe someone's credit card, and then 5-10 seconds later it communicates and it spits up a receipt. I do want you to be aware that the majority of the newer machines now have the ability to run transactions over an internet connection, which can help you out in a couple ways. One, if speed of transaction is an issue for you, if a standard transaction takes 10 seconds on dial up, over the internet it takes 2 to 3 seconds. So it will speed up your transaction. But the other benefit, we have a lot of clients that would have dedicated phone lines for their credit card machine, or would complain about, well, every time I use the credit card machine, the phones in our business don't work because it's tying up the phone line. So with having an internet enabled standalone terminal, you're able to bypass that phone line, maybe get rid of a phone line so it saves you a little bit of money, or at least not tie up your existing phone line to miss calls from potential customers because you're swiping credit cards. So that's your standard terminal. The next piece of the technology is a little more exciting, and this is fairly new. When I say new, within the last couple of years, it's really gained some popularity. But mobile payments. Most people have a smartphone or access to one, or a tablet or iPad. Nowadays, you can actually turn that smartphone into an internet processing or excuse me, credit card processing device, to where you're able to swipe cards directly through your phone or iPad. Wherever you're at, wherever you have cell phone connection, you can take credit cards. It really allows you to be mobile. Uh, Anywhere you're at to take credit card, you can take it. And this technology is pretty slick too, in the sense that it allows your customer to just sign with their finger on the screen. They sign the receipts. It saves paper because it emails out the receipts to your clients. It also saves your copy of the receipt within an online database that's secure. Um, so that technology is something that's out there. It's actually really affordable, believe it or not. It's cheaper than those standalone terminals generally. However, there are certain different types of fees that could come along with mobile payments that you'll want to look at if you're looking into that kind of pricing or processing, which may affect which type of pricing you'd want to use. We can speak about that. If you have specific questions on that, that's something that you'll want to speak to an individual representative about, because it'll differ depending upon your specific situation. But wanted you to be aware, mobile payments is out there. It exists. It's something that we do and have done for years now. Last piece of technology, and this is pretty slick, and this is the most affordable way to start accepting credit cards if you don't start it. And even if you do accept credit cards, this is a great tool to have in your in or capability to have is a virtual terminal. What that is that it basically turns any internet enabled computer into a credit card processing device to where you have a username and a password. You can log in from anywhere you're at and accept someone's credit card right on your computer. Most dealerships that I speak with have a computer at the dealership. Um, this way, anytime your sales rep or you or the owner or the secretary, whoever needs to run a credit card, they can have their own individual logins that you can track who's running what cards. You can choose to give them a login or not, or create different security standards on those. But they're able to automatically run cards straight from their desk right there at the computer. This technology not only allows you to do that, but it also allows you to swipe credit cards because you can have a very inexpensive mag stripe reader that actually plugs into a USB port that'll be able to swipe cards instead of just keying them in. You can actually swipe cards. It emails your clients the receipts. And you also have the option of printing them as well. And it secures every transaction with pre-authorization and encryption. The last two things that are, I think, the key benefits of these machines or these virtual terminals is they allow you to have card on file capabilities. So if you're a buy here, pay here shop and you've got clients that come in over and over again to pay you, you're able to have their card on file securely to where you can just look up their name, put in the new amount, hit submit, it emails your clients the receipt. There's also the second thing that I want to mention is automatic payment plan options come within these virtual terminals, depending on how customized you want to get with these terminals. But you can do automatic payment plans really simply to where you put in their information, put in how much they need to pay every month, uh, hit submit, and it automatically just happens for you every month. And it emails you and them a receipt. You're able to log in and check all the transactions anytime you want. And it just makes things a lot easier for a lot of our clients. So that's out there as well with the virtual terminals. That's the available technology section. I wanted to pause real quick for any questions on that. And then we'll wrap up with a couple value added resources that I want to speak to after that. And then we'll get out of here. So any questions on that? I'll pause for 30 seconds here. And once again, you can type them into the question frame on your GoToWebinar control. Okay, it doesn't look like any questions are coming through, so I'll move on. I hope that's a sign that I'm doing a good job and I've answered all your questions, but who knows? Hopefully I'm not confusing you too much. Okay, last couple things I want to mention. Some value added resources that we have available. Um, like I said, all credit card processors are pretty much the same. The difference is how we mark up those transactions. So we like to have a few things in our bag that make us different. Credit card processing is really a tax on your business, and it's a necessary evil, if you will. So we always like to have a few things. If you got to pay for credit card processing, why not at least get something out of it? The first value added resource that I want to make sure you're aware of. Those virtual terminals, we actually have the ability now with those virtual terminals to integrate that within your QuickBooks. If you're a QuickBooks user and you need to mark invoices as paid without having to open up QuickBooks, you can actually run the transaction and it'll automatically open up, or not open it up, but automatically mark the invoices paid within QuickBooks. So we have QuickBooks plugins where you can integrate that, or you can even run transactions directly within QuickBooks. So a lot of our business owners have found that that's been helpful for them. Just wanted to let you know that's available. And then last but not least, gift and loyalty card programs. once again, this is something. Credit card processing is a necessary evil, and if you can get something that you can help market your business with, or uh, brand yourself a little better with, then why not do it? The exact same technology that you run credit cards through has the ability to have a gift and loyalty card program that you can utilize as well. Um, I don't want you to think about a gift card in just the sense of, well, you'd sell them for birthdays or Christmas or weddings or whatever, because that may not be a great fit for your business type. However, for those of you with service base, this is a great tool that you can use. There's all kinds of ways you can get creative in marketing your business with these gift cards. I'll give you one quick example. If you know a real estate agent or two within your area, why not load up a few gift cards for them with some promotional dollars on them? So whenever they sell a house and welcome somebody new to your neighborhood, they can say, "Hey, thanks for buying a house from me. Here's a gift card for the local mechanic." Or the local car dealership, or however that would potentially work for your business. And that way, that customer or potential customer now has your logo in their pocket with a little bit of promotional dollars on there, burning a hole. So that's out there. There's also it can get much more robust than just that, but that's something that we can consult with you with on an individual basis. Um, those are the value added resources. I'm going to skip over the questions portions. Obviously, if you have them, get them in. I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend this webinar. I hope it was informative for you. I'll stick around a little while for some more questions, but before I leave, I want to direct your attention to the website at the bottom of the screen. If you have more questions, or if you're interested in speaking to someone, or want to talk to me even, go to noverapaymentsolutions.com/CIADA. That's the quickest way to get in touch with us. Once you fill out the quick form with your name, email address, and hit submit, one of our representatives, and it very well may even be me, will contact you immediately, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you have and go from there. And then last but not least, as a thank you, if you see on this screen, we've got a special offer. Anyone who signs up with us, whenever you do get in touch with one of our representatives, let them know you were on the webinar and you want to take advantage of the special offer from the webinar. If you sign up with us, you can either get a free virtual terminal, or you can get 100 free gift cards with your name and information on them. So that's our webinar special, if you will. So make sure to mention that if you want to take advantage of that. So I'll stick around for just a few more seconds and let you guys ask any questions that you have. Once again, thank you very much. Very special thank you to CIADA for allowing us to do the webinar, and look forward to meeting you guys.